Joining us now is the CEO of Alternatives for Girls, Amy Good, joining us as our Share Detroit charity or nonprofit of the day. Amy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about Alternatives for Girls. What services does your organization provide, and who do you serve?
Sure. We serve girls and young women who are experiencing homelessness or otherwise at risk, including those who are involved in sex work, victims of sex trafficking, including young girls who are at risk in one way or another, living with their families. Particularly, that program is particularly in Southwest Detroit. We provide a range of services, including shelter, short-term emergency shelter, runaway shelter, transition to independent living program, and subsidized supportive housing for those who have experienced homelessness. They can be pregnant or parenting or both or neither. We do street-based work. We drive around the streets, work with girls and women of any age who are out there on the street. We just let them know about services that are available to them, and we help them in very concrete ways right there on the street side, providing crisis intervention and other kinds of concrete ways of helping.
So how did this organization begin? What's the origin story of Alternatives for Girls?
We are 34 years old and counting. 2022 will be our 35th anniversary. It's kind of hard to believe, but we began very much from the grassroots. A group of people, including myself, living in Southwest Detroit in the mid-'80s, became aware of the increasing number of girls and young women who are in harm's way, who were without a home, who were at risk, who were involved in sex work on the street, who just were not going to school, who were being pressed into prostitution by their families for needed income. And the neighborhood rallied. We came together. We got a handle on understanding the problem, took a systematic look at what resources were available, decided there were gaps, tried to find some already existing organizations to step up to the plate and address those gaps. That wasn't going to happen, so we did it ourselves. And we did it initially without any money. We actually started the shelter in St. Peter's Episcopal Church, right across the corner from Tiger Stadium on Michigan and Trumbull, with just volunteers. And eventually we were able to find some funding, and we've grown steadily since then.
We're joined by Amy Good. She is the CEO of Alternatives for Girls, joining us today on the MegaCast. You can learn more information about the organization by visiting their website at alternativesforgirls.org. Again, that is alternativesforgirls.org. And so, Amy, the pandemic has affected different nonprofits and different charities in different ways, and whether it be the financial situation or the services that they provide, how they provide those services, or new services that they've had to provide. In terms of Alternatives for Girls, how has the pandemic impacted the services that you provide or changed the direction of your organization?
That's a great question, and I have to say all of the above. It's been a very tough year and a half, a year and 2/3, I guess, at this point. As one can imagine, those we serve, who, especially those who are experiencing homelessness, are so vulnerable to a pandemic situation like this. They don't have a safe place to shelter. They don't have access to health care. They don't have access to anything but public transportation. They are moving from house to house. They are exposed in so many ways, and they generally have chronic health issues as well. But those that we serve have been affected just tremendously. Also, the girls who are living with their families in Southwest Detroit, who we serve, are affected as well. Many of their families have worked in the frontline kinds of jobs where they're very much exposed. There's been a great deal of loss and grief among our community back, early on, and now again. Many lost their jobs, and so poverty, became an increasing issue. We have pulled out the stops We have taken lots of steps to make sure everything is safe in our building. Of course, one cannot operate a shelter or a crisis center or street-based work remotely. We haven't missed a beat. Our heroic staff have been there day in, day out, nights. We've opened up all of our conference rooms to become bedrooms. Some shelters have closed. We cannot close. We're the only ones serving the population that we serve, and that was never a question. But we've had to, it's been a very expensive year. We were able to keep the virus out of our shelter until last November, a year ago. And then we started having some outbreaks. Fortunately, nobody's become seriously ill, but we've had to spend a great deal of resources providing PPE and extra cleaning protocols and making sure all of the girls in living with their families are connected to the internet so they can participate in school, and just keeping everybody safe and healthy, keeping the staffing going. We've basically hung in there. As a wise person that I know says, we aren't just trying to get through this, we're trying to live through this pandemic and, appreciate the opportunities for new connections and lessons and resources and being resourceful. So yes, it's had a huge impact on our organization and those we serve.
We're joined by Amy Good. She is the CEO of Alternatives for Girls. Learn more information on their website at alternativesforgirls.org. And so, Amy, are there volunteer opportunities or mentorship opportunities available that are open to members of the community to help your organization out? And if so, in what capacity are those opportunities available?
Yes, and thank you for that question. We depend greatly on volunteers, and we need volunteers. We are in the middle of a drive right now recruiting mentors. We need mentors in all of our programs, particularly for those in our prevention program, the younger girls that we serve from elementary school all the way through high school, with the focus on helping them succeed in their education, prepare to graduate, and then go on to education beyond high school. We need mentors who will focus on that educational journey. We need mentors for those in our shelter. So we need mentors in lots of different capacities. We provide training, we provide support, we provide ongoing support, in fact. We also need mentors for all of our programs, for our street-based work, we need mentors to help us with childcare as we provide parenting classes. So there's mentors that are a really big need. And we need volunteers in lots of other ways as well. We need volunteers to help us raise money. We need mentors in really every capacity of the organization. People can connect with us in that way by going to our website, alternativesforgirls.org.
We're joined by Amy Good, the CEO of Alternatives for Girls, joining us on the MegaCast, our Share Detroit charity and nonprofit of the day. As we approach Giving Tuesday next week, we'll have a Share Detroit charity or nonprofit that they support with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now through the end of November, joining us in our 10:20 a.m. slot. You can learn more about Alternatives for Girls by visiting their website at alternativesforgirls.org. And so one of the programs that your organization operates is So Great Detroit, but so as like a threading, so S-E-W. Tell us about So Great Detroit and what that program's all about.
We are very proud of So Great Detroit. We're proud of the volunteers who run the program, and we're proud of the girls and women who are participating in the program. It's a social enterprise program. It's a job skills and employment program. It's very small but mighty. Those who participate they learn sewing skills, they learn basic employment skills. They start from scratch. We have sewing machines, and we have wonderful volunteers who are very patient and work with them through each level of skill as they master each level of skill by demonstrating their products that they have sewn. They can graduate to the next level of skill, and eventually they can get to the point where they can be hired and be part of our staff and be a trainer. They produce a range of items for sale and sell those items through many different partnerships with boutiques, the DIA, lots in craft fairs, and they earn a wage in the process. So it's small but growing. and we're very proud of those who have overcome a great deal to establish themselves as sewers, and they take those skills and go a long way with them. Sometimes they get industrial sewing jobs. Sometimes they just continue to sew items for their friends and family for sale. It's a very important program and growing.
We're joined by Amy Good, the CEO of Alternatives for Girls, joining us on the MegaCast. And so, Amy, at this point in time, what are the greatest needs right now for your organization to continue to provide the outreach, the prevention, and the shelter services to the women and girls that you currently serve?
Money, of course, always is a great need that we have. The demand is always greater than our capacity in all of our programs. As I mentioned before, we need volunteers, especially mentors, in a lot of different capacities. We need volunteers of all kinds. And when it comes to items, if people look at the Share Detroit, you'll see lots of different items that we need. We need baby items always. The consumable kind that we go through, like diapers and clothing and other supplies for babies. This very day, for example, we have 9 babies in our shelter. We need the whole range of items and formula and diapers and everything that one needs to care for a baby, toys. We need all of those items.
We're joined by Amy Good, CEO of Alternatives for Girls, a Share Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit, joining us today on the MegaCast again, now through November 30th, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, not including Friday of this week, of course, as we will be off the next 2 days from our regular shows. We'll be joined by a Share Detroit charity or nonprofit at our 10:20 slot as we approach Giving Tuesday. We're joined currently by Alternatives for Girls CEO Amy Good. You can learn more information about their organization by visiting their website at alternativesforgirls.org. And so in terms of your relationship with Share Detroit, how does a partnership like that for a nonprofit, for a charity like yours, to be able to do what you're doing in the community, how are partnerships like Share Detroit critical to your organization to be able to raise awareness of what you do in the community and then not only attract volunteers, but also attract donors and people to support your organization in a number of different ways that are needed at all times of the year?
Right. Share Detroit, I think, is a genius idea. It does exactly what is needed in a community like ours. It connects needs with resources and with people who have resources. So it raises awareness, not just of our needs, but of our work and the services that we provide. We really depend on word of mouth as well as our written material, but in particular on word of mouth to spread the word that we are here for those who are facing or know someone who's facing homelessness, who are victims of sex trafficking, who are otherwise at risk. We need people to know that we are here. But Share Detroit is a simple and efficient way to communicate our needs to people who are interested in helping out, whether it's through donations, volunteering, attending our events, purchasing items on our wish list. It's so accessible, and it brings that information to people who otherwise would not have access to it. So we are really pleased to be part of Share Detroit, and it has been a big help to us in lots of ways.
So, Amy, at this time, are there any specific projects that your organization's working on that they're specifically looking to fund or to put more power behind at this time?
Yes, I will share with people about our workforce development project. This is something that's fairly new for us. One of the things that is very important to those we serve, once they get beyond the crisis that may have been the trigger that brought them to us, they need to plan for their future. And once they get safe and stable and well, we have to work with them to get their education back on track and to work toward employment with a future, employment with which they can support themselves, and if they have children, their family, and work that has a ladder, a career ladder, so that they can continue to learn and grow and look forward to stability, and in many cases, rising out of the poverty that they've lived in prior to that point. So our workforce development project pulls together employers who are willing to work with us and to employ our participants, who, knowing that they have the support of our caseworkers and the whole staff behind them. We need employers who provide training and who are offering opportunities with not just a livable wage, but also a future. And so our workforce development project pulls together connections with job training, with employment opportunities, and helps prepare and connect our participants to those job opportunities that are a good fit for them. So that's a relatively new project for us. We got some initial funding, but it is just that. And that's something we need not just support for financially, but we also need partners. We need mentors, and we need employer partners, and we need job training partners. So I really appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about that.
We're joined by Amy Good, the CEO of Alternatives for Girls, a Shared Detroit-supported charity, joining us today on the MegaCast. Again, you can learn more information about how you can get involved and how you can help their organization by visiting their website, alternativesforgirls.org. And Amy, just another couple minutes with you before we'll have to say goodbye today. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know about your organization or other ways that they can help?
Yeah. I mean, what I want people to know about Alternatives to Girls is that our programs work. Most of those we serve find their way to employment or are employed and or in school, in many cases both. For example, we had 22 young women graduate from high school last spring, and 21 of them were college bound. I want people to know that donations and investment of time and resources and person power to Alternatives to Girls are used well, and they make a difference in the lives of the girls and women that we serve.
Well, Amy, we thank you very much for joining us and telling us more about all the programs that you do to help support girls and women in need in our local area. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for having me.